Morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's FERC Order 881 Managing Transmission Line Ratings Phase 2 Data Submission Working Group meeting. My name is Isabella Nicosia, representing ISO Stakeholder Affairs, and I'll be facilitating the web conference today. I'm also joined by Raja Tapatabula and Surajul Chowdhury today. Before we get started and go through some housekeeping slides, I just want to remind you all that the slides have been posted out on the initiative webpage, and you can get to that page by going to CAISO.com. Then you'll see that under the Stay Informed tab, Policy Initiatives. If you click out there, it'll take you to our main initiative landing page. And then about halfway down the page, you'll see a link out to the FERC Order 881 page, and the presentation is one of the very first items posted there. So as usual, today's call is being recorded. The recording is for informational and convenience purposes only, so any related transcription should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. And if you need technical assistance at any point during today's call, you can send a chat to the event producer. Our event producer today is Silas. And then we will be pausing for questions and comments throughout the call today. So if you connected to audio through the WebEx using that call me option, you'll want to raise your hand by selecting the raise hand icon, which is located at the bottom of your screen and also next to your name. If you dialed in separately to the conference just on your phone, you'll need to press #2 to raise your hand. And then just a reminder for everyone joining us today to please state your name and affiliation before asking your question or making your comment. And then you can also send your question and comment through the chat to me directly. Again, my name is Isabella, or you can send it to all panelists. The agenda for today, in a moment here, I'll hand things over to Raja and Surajul to go over the project timeline for FERC Order 881, and then we'll share some progress related to real-time AAR, and then leave some time at the end to go over next steps. So with that, I will hand things over to Raja for the information on the project timeline.
Thank you, Isabella. Good morning, folks. Good afternoon, if you're calling in from different parts of the Western Interconnect. Today, we don't have any major updates, but a couple of minor updates that we wanted to touch base with you. And also, we have received a couple of questions from different TOP, from different stakeholders on how do they send the real-time ratings through AR. So that's where we have Surajul today to help us, right? He's been our primary point of contact, SME, on that receiving the real-time ratings through ICCP. So he's going to help us, and if there's any questions, please take an opportunity to ask those questions. So again, as I mentioned, there's not a whole lot of things today discussed, but we wanted to leave time for your questions. So this is the project timeline that we have been sharing, right? Again, on the track 1 is where we are working right now. It's on the real-time reliability applications. Just a reminder, right? The goal of this effort is to enable a process where the TOPs that have real-time ratings, that are using those ratings in their real-time processes, in their EMS, in their RTCA, can send RC West, can enable and send those ratings to RC West, and RC West plans to use those in our real-time contingency analysis process and the EMS process, right? So there were some initial, as we have been telling you folks, there were some delays with the timeline. Originally, I think when we started last year, we were supposed to get everything done by Q1 2024, but now it looks like it's going to be Q2 2024. And one of the main reason is we, as some of you are aware, the bigger effort is the FAC 11. There's a lot of things that we had to work on the FAC 11 stuff to receive some data from the TOPs. So we worked on those, and FAC 11 is behind us. April 1st, it went live. Everything went live with everything was good with that. Now we're concentrating on our efforts on the reliability application. So that should be ready by potentially by Q2 2024. Again, it's only for the TOPs that have those ratings, right? It's not a requirement that we ask TOPs to do that if unless you are ready, right? Surajul, do you want to add anything else? I know you have a couple of slides that you're going to talk, but maybe I know Tricia also joined. If you want to add anything on the track 1, go ahead and add at this point.
Nothing from my side. Sorry.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So on the track two, again, this is a major update on that in the sense we have, I'm going to start in the next step. This is ultimately the primary goal under this track two is to have a process, to have a tool from an RC West point of view where RC West can receive the look ahead ambient edges ratings. What do we mean by that, right? As you guys are aware, there's 240 hours of ARs, forecasted AR requirements under the 881 FERC Order 881. So all those things we will receive through this track two. Once the track two applications are ready, we will receive those data that, again, late 2024, early 2025 is the existing goal. And again, I think there's no requirement that when we are ready, the TOPs need to provide those AARs. The TOPs that are ready, we can start work with them and receive those ratings and test those process, right? Because ultimately, once the track two is finished, it's just we can receive the ratings, but at that point, it doesn't mean anything in the sense, right? How do we use those ratings in our downstream applications? So all those things will be the intention for us is to accomplish those under the track three. Some of the market applications that's for KISO and from an RCVS point of view, all the look ahead applications, right? The look ahead reliability studies that we do, the day ahead, D+2 and D+3 studies, as well as our short term outage studies that we perform, right? So even those short term outage studies, 7 days out studies need to use this look ahead rating. So all those applications will work under the track three. So currently, internally, we are working on the requirement gatherings and as well as the resource, looking at some of the resource constraints. We think there's going to be some delays. I mean, the delays in the sense of a tool not being ready by 2025, right? That's what I mean by delay, because we have a lot of different tools, right? So on the track two, we'll receive the ratings. Now in the track three, we'll start using those ratings for the tools that they're enabled to make changes and receive those ratings, right? So based upon existing constraint and a resource, both our internally and vendor, because a lot of tools, we have different vendors, right? So we might see some delays. And once we identify those delays, which tools we cannot be fully accomplished by July 2025, we're going to go to FERC and ask for an extension. So that's where we are right now. It's not that we're going to ask for everything at this point. We're just trying to determine what those tools are that we'll have some delay. So I know there have been some questions that we received. I wanted to address those, make sure if there's any other people have any questions surrounding this delay, we can definitely talk and address those questions. But it looks like there's a question raised by, I think, Felda Chen. So Silas, can you enable audio for that attendee, and then hopefully we can hear his question. Is that her question?
Felda is unmuted, so Felda, you can go ahead. Felda, you may need to check that you're not double muted.
Yes, hi. I'm so sorry about that. I think I was early disconnected via audio. So thank you for your patience. I just have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So in particular, regarding track one, since officially track one had already gone live since April 1st, I think you posted questions with, asking for feedback from market participants. I'm just curious if you've received any feedback from market participants regarding track one, and there's other hiccups that we can learn from one another. And my second question is, can we still try to upload data, like the one that's a part of the requirements for track one, even though we're officially in track two at the moment? Can we still upload the test data? And if we have concern about sending live data through the ICCP in production environment.
So, Phil, I think just want to clarify that confusion, right? We went live with the FAC 11 stuff. That's different stuff related to NERC FAC 11 standard changes. As I mentioned, if you look at there, as we mentioned, there's some delay initially that we were planning to go live by Q1, but now it's going to be Q2. So we're still not live with the 881 part of the track one project, right? So the FAC 11, yep, we went live, but that does not have any impacts to the 881 project. So If you are planning to work with us to test the data and everything, Sirijul can definitely help you out on that. Sirijul, he has a couple of slides that he has been working with some of the TUPs, some of the stakeholders to receive those data. So he can work with you and set it up. Hopefully that clarifies your question 1 and 2. We're not live yet with the track 1. It's not fully done. Only the FAC 11 component is done. Hilda, does that address your questions 1 and 2?
Yes, it does for one. And regarding the feedback from other market participants, have you received any, and is there any that you can share so we can learn from one another?
So, Sirijul, do you want to add? I know you've been working with the TUPs and the mapping because it's all manual. I don't know if you want to add anything, Sirijul.
No, I've been working since last year and this year with almost 9 or 10 BA TOPs, helping them out how to fill out the template and how the mapping will work and all those things. So far, it's good feedback, and whoever contacted me and we work together and they're comfortable, they're working on it. So there is nothing that unusual, and people are still reviewing, and we're here to explain or help or provide support, anything you need.
Well, does that address the question? Yeah, if you have any further, you can always reach out to Sirijul. I know he's going to talk, he has a couple of slides. He's going to talk more about the work that he has been spearheading. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any further questions, Silas? You see any other hands raised? Let us know. If not, we can move on to the next slide.
Yep, there are no other hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, the track 2, where we plan to develop the tool to receive this look-ahead ratings, we've been mentioning quite a long time. It took a long time to finalize the contract, but finally here we are. We have signed the contract with OATI on developing their product, Webline R. I'd say it's their base product, but CAISO RC West is planning to add a lot of stuff onto that so that it can work for what we want to achieve with the track 2. So right now we have weekly meetings with OATI. Project teams have been created, technical teams have been created, and we are working on finalizing the schedule and the requirements. And one of the main key goal for us is, once we finalize those requirements, we wanted to share with the stakeholders and the TOPs. So the TOPs, anybody who was willing to send those ratings to us when they're ready, can take that format that we finalize, right? Because you cannot develop any code on your side unless the formats, how you're going to share the ratings, how RC West is going to receive those ratings, what is the process, how does the communication works. So all those things will be finalized. And once we have that finalization done, we're going to share those before OATA starts any development on their side, right? Ultimately, that is the goal. We want to make sure that everything is clear, everything is established, and then both the TOPs as well as OATA can start working in parallel and get to the end goal. I can take a moment and see if there's any questions on this particular slide, but that's why the track 2, as I mentioned, late 2024, early 2025. And we will definitely work with the TOPs. Obviously, we don't want everybody to start sending it at exactly the same time in July 2025. We need to stagger those so that we can actually test it and resolve any kinks before we go live on July 2025 with this track 2 application. So we're gonna continue to have the discussions and stagger those testing. Yeah, I see a question. Yep, go ahead. Celeste, can you enable the audio?
Chenyu, your line is unmuted. You can go ahead.
Thank you. This is Chenyu from PG&E. Thanks for sharing the OATI Webline R, which is the So it sounds like you are still working on the schedule and requirements. So with that means that this is still part of, can I assume this is still part of the track one? Because
No, it's a track two, Chinya. Sorry, it's a track two, right? When I say requirements, we have finalized all the requirements. It's just in the OETA terms, they want everything to be in their format, whatnot. So that's where they want to understand our requirements. So that's why when they say finalize, in the sense what OETA is going to code, right? So at least RC West has worked on since last year internally to determine what we want, how this tool needs to look like, what it needs to communicate, how it needs to fit into our existing IT structure, whatnot. So yeah, so technically it's more the mapping. Yeah, you want to say mapping communication between the OETA and what we have. It's a track two again. It's a track two tool.
okay.
Does that
So
address your question, Jenny? Okay.
yeah, can I assume this the WebLink R, it's the main purpose, it's the market participants can submit the data template to this via this tool.
Rather than a data template, I think, because ARs will be changing quite, right? 240 hours of ratings, and every hour it needs to.
I think I lost you for the audio.
There's going to be APIs where entities can their programs can communicate with the OETA WebLine R through common API, and that can, so all those requirements will be shared once we finalize the language, right? How the communication happens. But you're going to be using. I don't expect this 240 hours of ratings will be updated by somebody, right, manually. Right? So it's got to be some, at least to make this, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then we definitely shall expect some tech specs, and probably also some business requirements if the template need to the format or the details will be different from what we see today.
Exactly.
And then I think the next question is how often do you have this meeting? And because looks like the project is actually progressing. And this kind of detail doesn't actually channel through the CAISO PMO's release user group. I mean, they communicate mainly just the milestones, the timelines. But in terms of the communication as like once OATI finalize the schedule and requirement, I'm sure you want to share those with market participants. Which is we're looking forward to those level of update more frequently, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got a good point. I think these meetings we have scheduled once a month, but normally if we don't have anything big things to update, we cancel those meetings because we don't want to just waste everybody's time.
I see.
But we definitely, go ahead, Tricia. You want to share? Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that in this case, the BRS and the tech specs will be posted. And it's a good note for us to also make sure that we're sharing it through that release forum. So that way we kind of cast the net wide to make sure that people get it.
Thank you, Tricia. Yeah, I think we have, to your point, right? We have these meetings, right? Again, once we have, we'll definitely share those through those monthly calls. This is one forum. We also have other data forums under the RC West umbrella. We use those, and we also have a quarterly stakeholder calls. That is I think that is all the it goes to pretty much everybody. I know Isabella can confirm that. So there's very different forums. We'll definitely plan to, even though it might be same information, once we get there, we'll definitely overshare. So that way we cover everybody, as Trisha mentioned.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing it up, though.
Yeah, great. That would be great because that meeting it's very regular, bi-weekly. The ROC meeting, and I think that information, if sharing through there, we may, because we always dive into that meeting thinking that we will catch it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we'll take that note, and Trisha and myself and Isabel will talk and figure it out. How do we do that in that forum? But thanks for bringing it up.
Thank you for considering.
If no further questions, we can move on to the next slide. This last slide before Sirijal is going to talk about what is working on the past year. So this slide we have shared, right, what RC West is working, right, what is our goals this next 2 quarters. I mean, again, Q4 is pretty much over, so these 2 quarters. So a couple of key things that we, along with the tools, right, along with the project timelines, everything, there's a couple of things that we are putting our efforts on is the WEC base case model development. You know, one of the main reason, as you guys are aware, with this 4 seasons in the 881 requirement, there's a requirement for 4 seasonal ratings. What does that result in? We need to make sure that there's 4 different models, base case models, that RCs and the TUPs can use to generate TTCs or an interface, right? Path ratings and interfaces, right? So there's different things that needs to be done. And if you don't have base case models, it's going to be really difficult to develop those models and run those studies. So we're working with WEC and WEC SRS leadership. We have attended a call with them last month. And then ultimately, there's an agreement that we definitely will need to have. Right now, they have 2 models that they actually generate. Right, historically, they've been generating 2 models. So once we go ahead and the June model and get an agreement with that group, they're going to be 4 the base case models reflecting the 4 seasonal ratings that will be available once the 881 goes live. So that is again, it is the everybody across the Western Interconnect can use this. It's not just RC West, right? All the TOPs will be able to use this model. So that is progressing well. The other one, we are also working with all the TOPs, especially on the tie line. How do you manage the ratings on the tie lines, right? So there's different discussions going on, if RC West can be like a rating clearing house on those tie lines. What does that mean, right? With this rating, if you have a tie line and there's 2 different TOPs on either end, depending upon the rating methodology, potentially, even though the tie line might not be the distance wise, it might not be a huge, it's a small distance, but different rating methodologies might result in different ratings on those tie lines, right? You know, how you calculate, how you assume your emergency, so there's different ways the ratings can be different, even though the temperature might be same on both locations, right? So how do you when you have those conflicts, how do you resolve those? So we're working with the TOPs on come up with an agreement, what we can do and what is that clear rating that needs to be used. Obviously, in most scenarios, we have to use the most limiting rating, but we are making sure that there's an agreement what those most limiting rating is on the tie lines. And once that is done, then it will be used in the downstream applications, right? So as well as we also have a call this week with the SPP as well, and we need to work with other RCs too if there's any tie lines across the RC to RC seams. How do we manage those tie line ratings? So there's a lot of work going on that front. Way ahead of next year, we need to have a process and agreements what those are, that otherwise is going to create a huge confusion across the TOPs in operations. What is the limit? Now, for operations, you can resolve it because you operate a TOP stock, but what about your applications, like at the day ahead applications, reliability D+2, and you're approving outages based upon next week forecasted ratings. So what is the ratings that needs to be used? So a lot of those things need to be agreed so that it's a common ratings being communicated across the board. The other work that we are working with the TOPs is how do you calculate TTC for the inter-area paths, right? I know some of you are aware of when the ratings changes, some of the interfaces interties across the Western Interconnect. If it's a single line, if the rating changes, you can take that rating and use those rating on that single line intertie. But if there's a intertie that is made up of 3 or 4 lines, and you have different and different TOPs own those lines. So how do you calculate a TTC, or how do you calculate rating on that path, right? So there's different ways you can do. You have to do the most accurate way is actually performing transfer studies and calculating those total transfer capability of those interties. Now, when you say transfer studies, that takes a lot of work. And how do you set it up? So those are the things that we're working with the TOPs and coming up with the process there. So it's going to take some more time for us to agree, because there's going to be different ways you can do for different entities. So those are the main goals that RC West is working on. Just wanted to share. Any questions before I hand off to Sirijal? He's going to go through some of the work. that has been working on the real-time ARs. Okay, I don't see any questions. I can hand off to Sirijal. Sirijal, go ahead, it's all yours.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Rajul Chaudhary from EMS at Calaiso. I have presented that last year, so many people may have seen it already, but Raja requested to have it presented again just to make sure people missed it can have a chance to review it. So these are the slides that I also presented data exchange working group. Also, they are familiar with this work that we have been doing over a year now on the real-time side. So we have provided a real-time data submission template in our website, and I gave the path there, RC portals, working groups, data exchange, and you'll see the template that we developed based on our November model. So we have each TOP BA have a name in the template file, and you can have access to those from the RC portals. So these are there are quite a few BAs already got access to it, and if they have any question, probably 10 or 12 BAs that I worked with individually, they send me an email, and we work together and how to fill it out, all those stuff. And majority of them are work in progress at this point in time. Some couple of BAs are very close on submitting their template. Our timeline, normally previous slides we said that from January we will start heavily testing till we do the cutover on July 12, 2025. So we have some testing period from January. So we decided to update our template one more time on M12 model in 2024, which will go live on December 16, 2024. So we'll take another snapshot and fill out the template again to have the latest and greatest model updates. So we'll submit the template again. And then from January, we are planning to start, whoever submitted the template will start implementing it in our system, and then keep testing till we do the cutover. So this is the plan so far. And then we are on track one. We have done some software upgrades, and there are already placeholders sitting there for data to be linked. Once the data is linked, then we can start testing with the TOPs without using it in the live system. We can monitor the scan data, validate it, and then see how the data look like. We can do some validations on critical points and make sure that we are seeing what you are sending from your EMS. So we have all those steps already laid out, how we're going to do the testing, when will it start, if who is ready, who is not. So we'll keep track of them, and there are a few BAs that are already almost there, and I'm working with them to use their data as for testing purpose, not for decision-making purpose. So any questions on the first slide? As I said, most of you already have seen this in two different forums. If not, then we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, and few people ask us how we are going to use this telemeter limits in our EMS. So the ISO EMS has a priority schemes that we always take the manual override in case the ratings are inaccurate. Our operator can take over and manually override data. That will be our topmost priority. And the second priority will be if somebody provide us real-time telemetry, that will be used in our system as long as telemetry is valid. If it is not valid, then we have a design to have a write-through timer that will set up per geographical, for sub-geographical region that we can adjust the timer. So default will be 60 minutes. If the data is not updating for 60 minutes, then it's going to go to the next priority available. And the third priority will be data coming from a WebLiner tool. This is the new tool Raja has mentioned that ISO is working directly with OATI. They can also publish data. We'll use it as a priority 3. And then if there is any update through our OMS system, any re-rate or any modification, that will be also hosted in our EMS. If telemetry is not available or telemetry goes bad or link is down, then if there is any outage, we'll impose the outage. Otherwise, telemetry will take the highest precedence over anything else. So and ratings and durations will be part of the template. Is part of the template that participants will submit, and we'll use that duration in our model in our EMS, and then the rolling 10 days forecasters rating will come from WebLiner that will be fit into our look ahead applications. So basically, for real time, whoever provide us telemetry will use it on the left hand side. Otherwise, EMS, if real time telemetry is not available from the QOPs, then we'll use data from WebLiner as Raja has covered it. And that WebLiner tool will also have the interface with our real-time tool as a priorities. So at this point, I'll pause and see if there is one question. Go ahead, please.
Not sure how actually it's handled now, but when we have like a breaker and a half or double breaker schemes on a line, currently the readings that we send as limiters are just the line, and when we have circuit breaker in and circuit breaker out ratings. So if one of the adjacent breakers on an end of a line is open and all the load has to flow through the other bay, then those ratings get applied. I'm not sure how CAISO deals with this now, or if we've considered what the best way is to deal with that in the new system, because most of our ratings will be based on all breakers in service.
Hey, Deborah, this is Raja. I think you could achieve this couple of ways. I understand. Maybe let me know if I'm incorrect, right? There's a different I know there's different operational conditions where the breaker, you are not calculating ARs in the breaker, right? You're not planning to calculate ARs in the breaker. And the breaker will limit the rating rather than the conductor on the line, right? So in those scenarios, right, there's a couple of ways. You could use an outage card, and we have that process right now as well, where you could say when that outage, there's a rating change that is on the equipment. So the OMS derate will take a priority than the AR coming in.
Okay.
You could set up different lists. So yeah, either that or you have developing a program on your side where you can send in lieu of AR, you can just send that rating as well, the breaker rating for that equipment, right? Even though it's an AR, you can still send that is the most limiting at that point until that condition resolves, right? So you could do that way as well.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, there's different ways you can achieve for that conditions here.
Okay. Thanks. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. If there is no further questions, I will hand it over to Raja.
Thank you, Sergio. Let's see if there's any questions. If not, I think we are end for presentation. Yeah, I see one question from Carla. Go ahead. I think you're unmuted, right? Carla, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask, what if if the OATI WebR is going to be used for the static seasonal ratings, or what the updates? I know there are updates that are going to be required, but are those going to be in the WebR product, or are there going to be enhancements to the current database?
Carla, I think, I think I understand your question correctly. Let me know if I don't, right? So today we received those, the seasonal ratings through the model upload process, FNM process, right? So the full network model upload process monthly. And when we develop the WebLine R, our intention is to receive those seasonal ratings, any update to the seasonal ratings or changes to the seasonal ratings through the WebLine R. So that once we are ready, I think we need to establish the process. We're still finalizing how it's going to look like, because we don't internally, what we're looking into is we want to make sure that always there's only one single source of truth. What do I mean by, right? If we go towards WebLine R, that is our intention, making sure that any updates that are in the WebLine R gets into every place, every seasonal rating that we have in our systems, everywhere in the system, right? Because if things go wrong from the ARs, we default to seasonal, and we didn't want multiple seasonal ratings going all over the place. So we're developing process on our side. Once we finalize that, once the tools are ready, we're going to share that, how that's going to work, and making sure that everybody understand what the communication process. Hope that addresses your question, Carla.
Yeah, I'm just going to rephrase that just for my understanding. So can I assume that the FNM process is synonymous with the current ISO TR? That's the system that I was referring to. If that's going to be, if the ISO TR is going to be migrating into eventually the WebR, and then what is going to happen in between? I didn't catch any details about the update. Yeah.
I can talk more because I assumed you're from Portland. Sorry, the PGE.
No, Carla PG&E, with PG&E.
Okay, so that's why I didn't go towards the TR, because TR is only used by PTOs and the KAISO, right? And the KAISO umbrella. All the other RC West TOPs use the FNM model upload to get the seasonal rating. So that's why I didn't go towards the TR. But initially, when we go live with the WebLine R, a TR will still exist. And our intention is to still receive the seasonal ratings for those PTOs through the TR. And one of the main reason is it's not just seasonal ratings, because under the TR construct, we also receive all the components, all the ratings of each of those components that exist under those lines. And then we determine what is the lowest limiting rating on that line, all the series components on that line, and then send it to our downstream application. So it's a little bit because of under the existing construct, that's how it's been done. And eventually we want to move that to TR into WebLine R, and we're going to have a separate project, not under this track, it may be track 4. Once we have finalized that project, we're going to share with the PTOs and work with the PTOs towards that. But that's right now, the WebLine R, once the WebLine R goes live, the TR will still exist until we have a separate project and move it. Hope that clarifies your question,
Yes,
Carla.
yes. I know that there's still going to be some enhancements to the TR.
Yes.
What is the timeline for those enhancements?
So the enhancements in the sense, right now TR has only 2 seasons, right? And we have talked about 4 seasons. Yeah, along with the July 2025, the team is looking into that as well. It's not a big enhancements because it's just a data construct changes. There's no tool changes. This tool actually can receive those. We just need to set it up. And that work will be done around Q1 2025.
Okay, perfect. And is that going to align also with the updates of having 2 emergency ratings? Is that those enhancements will also happen in the TR as well?
I'm not sure. Maybe Trisha, are you aware of that 2 emergency ratings in TR? But I'm not aware of exactly where that effort is. But Trisha has.
Yeah. Is it for the different time durations? So just between like the emergency rating and like the highest emergency rating?
Yeah. So I think we did a questionnaire where we were talking about which durations, the TOs wanted to kind of use. I think we were talking about, just trying to think back, 1 hour and 4 hour emergency ratings.
I think it's not a tool change, Carla. It's more process change.
Okay.
Yeah, our managers,
Correct.
has been working with peace. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for correcting me.
Yeah, the structure in TR already does handle that. So.
Okay, so it'll all be included in those when those updates are made. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, those are not part of the. Yeah, go ahead, Carla. Sorry.
But just wanted to get a sense of timeline for the updates that are required, if there's going to be testing.
So, Carl, I think we can talk offline. I think maybe I'll reach out to Rayleigh and see where that effort is. She's been working with the PG&E operations and PG&E asset folks. So, yeah, we can touch base offline and then figure it out what's the timeline for that effort.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks for bringing that up. Sorry, I assumed PG&E, so sorry for that too. But yeah. Isabella, I don't see any other raised hands, so yep, take it over and we can end the call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Raja and Srajal. So that brings us to next steps. So we will be accepting comments on today's call. You can submit your comments by end of day May 8th using the template that will be available out on the FERC 881 Initiative webpage. And then, as always, you can continue to submit additional comments or questions related to FERC Order 881 to ISO Stakeholder Affairs at CAISO.com. And then I just have some updates for you all. So the ISO regularly posts to its Energy Matters blog, and I wanted to highlight the most recent article. If you haven't read it already, I encourage you to take a look. It discusses working groups and how they've played a role in policy development here at the ISO. And then a couple save the dates for you. So the ISO is hosting a new resource implementation meeting on May 1st, 2024. It will be held in person and virtually. So if you are planning to attend in person, just a reminder to please register by end of day April 26th. And then the final agenda and presentation for that meeting will be available prior to the meeting on the Public Forums webpage. The ISO is also hosting a resource operations readiness training series. And the goal of this series is just to prepare our customers in advance of the summer to meet ISO expectations just for successful resource management, especially during tight conditions. And so we have 4 training sessions scheduled in May, one May 7th, May 15th, May 16th, and May 22nd, all focusing on different concepts. And so if you're interested in attending those training sessions, you can register at the link provided here on this slide. And then lastly, I just wanted to give everyone a heads up that the ISO will be launching a new redesigned CAISO.com in late May, and we will be hosting training sessions on the new website towards the end of the month on May 23rd and May 29th, and we'll be providing more information on that in the daily briefing and also on social media. But with that, that brings us to the end of today's working group discussion. Thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
That concludes our conference. Thank you all so much for joining, and you may now disconnect.